If you're in pain, good. You're going through a tough time, good. Because you're alive to deal with it. Any situation when you're in it is, are you going to be able to look in the mirror and not outward point? Are you going to look inward? Are you going to venture inward? Or are you going to venture outward? Because if you're not ready to look in the mirror and say, my problem isn't what I'm driving, the house I'm in, the wallet I have, the girl I have. My problem is right here. And that's the only way to grow.
Kevin Kolb.
That's me, baby.
What's up, bro?
What up, man?
We were just talking about manifesting our futures.
Yes, and I think that's my favorite topic in the world. I think you and I get on that more than anything.
I love it.
But what's it take? Manifesting our future. What's it take?
Hard work.
Yes, you got it.
Hard
What
work
else?
all day.
What else? Where's that start?
For me, it's hard work and belief in yourself that you can accomplish this goal.
Dude, that was my morning show. Did you see it this morning?
No, because I woke up and I came in here to help to set up his monitor to hook him up.
Belief
But I watch it later.
in self is this morning's discussion on my 647 with Kevin.
I like that, by the way.
Facebook. You like it?
Fucking
I'm gonna get
motherfucker.
t-shirts that just say 647. It was like, what the fuck's that? 647. Come on the show and find out. But we talked about self-belief, baby.
Self-belief is something I'm not teaching my wife that, but she keeps saying, she keeps saying, hey, you keep saying it out loud that you're going to Tampa. You're going to retire at 50. I'm like, yes, because I need to manifest this. I need to manifest that my future is retiring in Tampa at the age of 50 years old. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything, but the everyday hustle bustle, got to go to work in my life will be.
So I'm not into the word manifest anymore because everybody says it, but you're selling yourself. You are selling yourself on the thought.
Right.
Every day speaking it, the only way so negativity overpowers positivity tenfold. If it's spoken, if you speak a negative word, it's 10 times more powerful than it was in your brain. If you speak positivity, you find that's what it takes to beat negativity is speaking that positivity. You got to be selling yourself all day, what you're doing, where you're going, how you're going to get there. That's it. Yeah. But there's a lot of people out there though that can sell the sell and talk the talk.
What can they sell themselves though?
But what's it take to do that? Like what's the work for us behind just the sales pitch and the 30-second elevator pitch of I'm the man? What's behind that?
For me, it's just hours of work, hours of believing in myself. Strong woman behind me, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, she's like my number one fan, Jill. Mm-hmm. My daughter, Ange. She's another one. She texts me almost every day.
There you go.
Yeah, she's like, you're killing it, Dad.
So community. You're developing a support system in a community, no matter if they're family or not, that's probably holding you accountable and allowing you to see what's out there. You know, some people have a community, some people's parents, some people's wives, kids. It's nothing but trying to pull you back into that black hole, man, and staying forward, man. That positive mind and positive thinking. But dude, it takes pain. You didn't get here. You did not get here pain-free, dude. Like you got here by going through the shit.
Sacrifice.
Pulling the weeds.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Going through the seasons. I remember, you know, we've both talked to each other about the seasons of life, and we get down and you need to reach out to get out. You need to get a hand up, you know, to get pulled up at times. But it's allowing yourself to say, you know what? I'm not giving up what I want now, or what I want most for what I want now. I am not giving up on the dream for the now. And some of us get stuck in like, right now I want to feel better. But this whole journey of growth of who we are supposed to be is like the most important thing. You want most to be in right now. That's the goal, to be in Tampa.
Yes, sir.
Right. But there's things that can happen right now to stop you from doing that. Like feeling good immediately about everything and not going through it, like hitting everything head on. Man, that's probably what I love about you most. I always know where you stand. Always. That's why you're my friend.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty transparent, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I ain't got time for bullshit. La mierda. I ain't got time for that.
What was that word?
Bullshit?
No, the
la mierda.
Okay. I wish I
ain't
could
got
say
time
it like
for
that.
shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got time for it. Yeah, you do wish you could say it like me,
I
bro.
can't, bro. I don't have it. You got the swagger, bro. Yes, you got it. I wish I had that. You know, I'm not. My wife would be happier if I had.
I wasn't gonna say it, but you said it first, bro.
We can edit this out, right, bro?
Hell no, that's fun. That's fun, man. That's fun. But how do you know what? Here's a great question for you. Because you're a motivating dude. I mean, when I first met you, I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Mhm.
You know, when I saw you. And then I've talked to you a million times since. I mean, of course, we've had millions of conversations. But, you know, what do you say to somebody who's like just in the shit right now? And they're like, fuck it, I'm never going to get out from under. I don't know what's going to happen next. This is what I want to do. You know, there's cases out there where, you know, you're talking to people and they're just like, fuck,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, where do you start?
Where do you start with somebody that's in the shit?
In the shit, like, yeah, I talked to a guy on Sunday, and he's literally in a position where he's like, fuck, I don't want to do this again. I'm back to where I was, you know, and, you know, he's in a relationship. He's not happy about the relationship, but, you know, other things have happened since then. So he's just like, you know, like, what do I do? You know, like, he just had a kid. I'll put it out there. He just had a kid maybe a year ago, a little over a year ago. And he's just like, you know, he's just not into it. You know, he's in a relationship that he's not happy in, but he's afraid, you know, for his kid. So, you know, but he doesn't have, I guess, the strength right now to just like make that move to know that he needs to be out of that situation to fix himself and become better for him and his daughter. Because right now it's a shit show in that home.
Yeah. So my question is he going to own the setup of getting there? If he got here, right, my first thing was like, okay, dude, like you want a different life. What are you willing to look at in the mirror? It's easy to say it's the wife, it's the kid, it's the bills, it's the house. Well, you fucking got yourself there. You knew where you were going when you were being pleasured. You know, what's the plan to get you from A to B without the quickest way possible? What's the marathon in this for your kid, for your relationship, for yourself, or are you just looking for the easy way out and the quickest way to feel good now? Because my answer is, if you're in pain, good. You're going through a tough time, good. Because you're alive to deal with it. Go to the my answer is go to the fucking hospital and go to intensive care and go to the children's wing of an intensive care and critical care and look what those people are wishing for. Those people are just wishing for another day. Some people are just wishing for another breath. Some people are just wishing that they'll get out of the hospital. Some people are just wishing that their kid will know who they are. You know, that'll live for a month or 2 months or 3 months and wondering, what's your perception on what's happening? Where are you? Like, where are you grounded? Are you thankful for what you have? Or are you going to be constantly looking to what's next and what's in it for me? Because if you have a kid, it ain't fucking about you anymore.
No doubt.
You made the decision to do what you did. You know, I'm a child of a divorced family that was not pretty. They were straight jerks to each other, right? They had no thought of what was going on with my brother and I. They had a thought of what was up with them. So are you going to, in any situation when you're in it, are you going to be able to look in the mirror and not outward point? Are you going to look inward? Are you going to venture inward? Or are you going to venture outward? Because if you're not ready to look in the mirror and say, my problem isn't what I'm driving, the house I'm in, the wallet I have, the girl I have, my problem is right here. And that's the only way to grow. That's the only. And then there's a whole process to that, man.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Well, that's just what I've recognized over the past year. That process, that system of change is like so important to go through each phase. Just in myself, dude. I've been working on myself hardcore for 7 years. I stopped doing drugs and drinking almost 15 years ago. But like, I think I keep reaching the mountaintop, you know? And what I forget is that when I get there, I get super complacent and I get super proud. Like, I'm the man, I made it. And there is no such thing. Like these people have to recognize that you're like in this canoe. You ever go canoeing, bro?
Yeah.
Kayaking?
Kayak.
Okay, imagine going against the current and it's a little uphill, right? You're constantly having to paddle. That's life, man.
That is life.
Like, some people just want to put the paddle down and they wonder why they're coasting backwards. There is no such thing as just stopping and staying the same. When you stop, you're going backwards.
Safe as death.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that one. Boom. Yes, that's a power move right
Safe
there.
as death.
Yeah.
Well, that's true because, like even with my own business, like getting to a point where like everybody's like, you're the fucking man, you do great shit. And you want to just coast with what you have.
Mhm.
And you realize, no, it doesn't work that way.
Why? Because there's some dude behind you that's just starting out where you were, that's like clawing and
But
he's
he's
excited.
hungry.
And he's doing his push-ups every day.
But that doesn't scare me. The
Well,
competition doesn't scare me as much as myself failing.
oh yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, yeah, when some new person on the block comes out and you see them doing things, you're like, I could have fucking did that. Or I'm like, who the hell is this person? Why are they doing it? Blah, blah, blah. Then I stop and go, wait a minute, bro. You're already going down the path of like, screw that person. They suck, or fuck that person. It's like, why are you blaming them right away? Why are you blaming them right away? It's so easy to be like, I was like, well, how come you didn't get it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you get that gig? Why didn't they call you?
How many
What's
times
wrong
did
with
you think you were failing throughout this
Tons,
journey?
bro.
How many?
Fit like the number?
Yeah.
Hundreds,
There
thousands.
you go. So what do we tell our friends? Dude, take your licks. Like,
Oh, yeah. you
take
got
the
it.
L's.
Yeah.
Like, but this too shall pass.
Every
like
time.
this failure, this how you're feeling. It's this like path of least resistance attitude that's out there, that everything should happen now. Like everything's a fucking Snapchat and Facebook filter, that I should look the way I want to look now to do what is to become who I want to become overnight.
Right.
Like I am in a process, dude. I am in a whole process of everything that I'm doing for myself, and just saying, you know what? I'm gonna be 49 years old soon, bro. And it's the most growth this last year I've had, because I'm recognizing now that it's a marathon, that that I'm not gonna feel great all the time, that I'm not gonna like who I am all the time. I'm not gonna like what I'm doing every second of the day. But damn, I'm breathing. I woke up this morning. I am never defeated. I might be disappointed, but I don't get defeated. And as long as I get up and I open my eyes and I keep moving forward, like that's the answer. Give up the now. Like everybody wants to give up the now for what you want most. That's the gig.
That's true. Well, for me, it's Tampa. For me, it's Tampa, going down there, living with my wife, dying in a warm place. And that could mean many different things, Kevin Cobb. No, but let's be honest, man, But going back to failure, I used to hate failure in a sense of like, you suck, bro.
Yeah.
You're an idiot, bro. Why would you do that, bro? Because I just talk to myself in my head. I'm like, you're fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. Now, it's different. Now when failure happens or a mistake happens or something like that, it forces me to look at it, forces me to say, okay, well, what did you do wrong? And what happened? And you almost welcome them every once in a while, because you need that reminder, that smack in the head. That's just like, dude, what the fuck, bro? You knew better. You didn't do it. And now look at you. And look what happened. And then you revisit everything. And they become really valuable teaching points.
Did you ever grow without pain?
Hell no.
So there it is.
It's impossible.
That's it. Like for me, it's like I've never grown when I have these great days where I feel great. Like I just stay where I am. But when the pain comes, I've learned to be like, okay, here we go. Like,
that's almost the biggest motivator.
Bring it. Like I know this is going to suck, but I know what's going to be on the other side of this at some point. And it's taken me facing me without anybody jumping in. That whole thing you said where it's like this self-talk of you suck, you're no good, you can't do this. That's usually a setup for a lot of people to like quit. And how many I know in my life I was a quitter. Like I ran to drugs and alcohol and all kinds of outward things that I shouldn't have, because if I told myself I was a piece of shit enough, I believed it and I could just quit on everything that was important. So we do this thing where it's almost tactical of you suck, you suck, you suck, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Then I can develop the mindset to have the excuse to be a victim of my own words. And it's like this, it's like this setup for the excuse. Like we can make all these excuses if we keep telling ourselves. But if you have a perception of bring it, like whatever comes my way, I'm going to face it and I'm going to get through it, no matter if it takes a minute, no matter if it takes a year. And I'm dealing, my wife and I have been dealing with something that's outside our control for a year now, and it's been the most growth in my life. That I have nothing, I have no control over it. I have no control over any of it. I just keep facing it and like boom, boom, boom. And that's to me what happens in our program. Like I watch guys that have been handed everything their whole life, turn to drugs and alcohol or county jail or homelessness. And dude, they just continue to look for the system in which they can pull from instead of a system in which they can give from. You know,
Yeah.
anytime that balance is outside, you know, I have to give more than I can take. I have to. If I start taking, if I start becoming this guy that's like, what's in it for me more, I become dark. I'm talking straight, no drugs, no alcohol. If that balance for me of okay, what am I going to get out of this, and I am not thinking of what is in return, and it has to kind of be about mission for me more than profit. I'm in a bad way. I'm in a bad way personally. I know myself, you know, and that's it for me. And figuring out that recipe for yourself, man, it takes time.
For sure it does.
Dude, I look at the people that have it figured out, unlike probably you and I did in
Yeah.
their 20s, and I'm like, dude, we would be animals. I mean, I would be an animal. I could have helped so many more people. I could have made so much more money. But at the same time, you know, it took what it took. And I'm thankful to still be here to work through the everyday challenges of the blessing of life. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
I wouldn't change anything because I don't know what would happen, obviously, if I did change anything.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm where I am now because there's a reason for it. Maybe I definitely didn't start taking myself seriously until my 30s, for sure. And even then, it was like, kinda,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But the thing, you know, to go back to what you were saying, for me, I feel like it's human condition, you know, or I like to, and I don't have all the exact words, uh, but I always tell people when they come to me and they talk to me about like, you know, can I accomplish this? Do you think I can really do that? These ba 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 ba. And I'm always like, yeah, dude. And there's a reason why for that. I feel like when you put yourself in a situation where it's gonna hurt, where you know you're afraid of failing, where you know shit might hit the fan, I feel like you figure it out. Like the human instinct jumps in and goes, okay, what do I have to do to survive? What do I have to do to accomplish this thing? What are the steps? And you tend to just go into that groove and figure it out. I mean, and I think that's one of the biggest things about helping yourself grow is putting yourself into spots where you're afraid. Because fear is a motherfucker, but man, it helps. It helps build you so fucking hard, you know, where it literally came down to me sitting in front of a television on a fucking Saturday. And I was working out of my basement in my home. And I'm like, you know, I got to take the next step in this business, man. Just sitting in my house trying to do shit ain't going to work out, you know? And I just did a little Craigslist search. I found an office for $600. And in that moment, I showed my wife and she was like, looks good. Let's go look at it. And we looked at it. By the next day, I was like, I'm going for it. And I literally doubled all my bills in my life like that. All I did was pay for my house. You know, I didn't have to make a lot of money. I just needed enough to run the household. And the second I doubled all my bills, I was just like,
Pressure.
it's like, dude,
Pressure.
that's it, man. But man, let me tell you something. I went into that place, gutted it, painted it, hooked it up, put the freaking sticker sign in the window, and I was like, let's fucking go.
Right.
And that's when it was like,
So what's created by pressure? Diamonds.
awesomeness, diamonds.
Diamonds,
There you
bro.
go.
Diamonds are created through pressure. Like, and if I look at you, and from the time I've gone in here, I've watched you take a pressuring situation, but at the same time, you've always raised your standard. That's the key. Our standard, your standards were different at 30
Hell
of
yeah.
who you are to now. That's it.
Yeah,
If
dude.
I could have been taught to just, everybody wants to know what's the key to growth, to change, to developing a whole new life and an aspect on life, right? New standards. This is not of what you're driving, of what you're wearing. I'm not talking about I'm saying of who you are. I am going to be accountable in every way. That's a standard. I am going to be honest in every way. With me, you better be careful what you ask me. I am going to raise the standard of myself.
That's why I don't ask you shit. I know better.
Yeah. So, you know, my standard over the last 7 years of doing what I'm doing has raised. And that's the answer. I know what your standard is. I come and check this sidewalk because I know Fred's standard for what he's doing, for the work our company's doing, for the concrete work we're doing. You see that little plug there, the little marketing plug.
I like it.
And I know the standard that you have. So what's the answer? If we make a mistake, Fred, we're going to do it again. And we've made mistakes. Fred, we're going to do it again until it's right. That's the piece, because that shit becomes contagious. Like when you don't know it, but you are super like influential in people's lives just by raising your standard, by saying this office is going to look perfect when I have a customer come in. That means something. I get to work with people that are broken and lost every day in businesses or people that are in the gutter. And you walk into an office that doesn't look like this, what do you think?
Place sucks.
It's not just this place sucks, but who are they?
Right. It's
I always
funny.
think of, who is that person?
It's so funny you mention that, because that's what I told you fellas yesterday. When they walked in here, we were talking about the concrete.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he was asking me, well, do you like the gray? I'm like, well, I think at this point, it's kind of dark. I'm like, but I like that nobody's going to break their neck anymore. But then I got into the fact of like why I'm so picky about things. And I was like, you know why I'm so picky, man? I was like, listen, I'm a marketing agency.
Yeah.
I'm like, if people come in, right, or they look at the front and go, well, if this guy can't even take care of his grass,
Yeah.
or the way the front looks, how the hell am I going to give him a shot at doing my marketing?
Right.
I'm supposed to be taking care of their baby.
That's it.
I'm like, so if they can't even come to the front door and feel confident about opening it, bro, what's the point?
It's not just about FXV. It's who Fred is. That's what concerns me most. I spent 15 years being a piece of shit. And everything I did because of who I was and not working on myself and blaming and pointing fingers and having no standards, no moral compass, everything I did turned to shit. I didn't end up homeless because I was worried about myself and my self-growth. I had all the opportunity in the world. I had all the money in the world. I gave it all up. Really. So when you raise the standard of who you are, everything else happens as a result of. Nothing happens as a focus in. It is completely as a result of. If I work on me, my business, my career, more importantly, my relationship with my wife and my children is going to be something that it's never been. It's all the same. You focus on you inward, and then those relationships that you're blaming everybody else, like, blaming this, blaming that, and all that stuff follows suit with how much you're willing to put into you and focus on you. And that, dude, for me, has been the most life-changing thing over the last 7 years of my life. Like, the more time I spend on myself, I don't mean selfishly, but self-care, what I put in my body. I spent 2 years not walking. I was in a wheelchair for 2 years, and from 16 to 18, I was paralyzed on my left side of my body. I had a nice head injury. Motorcycles are awesome, right? Motorcycles are awesome.
What's it ended with that?
Yeah. And I broke my leg. I couldn't walk. I had a piece of spaghetti for a left arm, and I completely just forgot about a holistic approach to myself. I feel like our mission of what we do and our company suffered because I didn't take the opportunity during that injury to say, okay, you might be in a wheelchair, but you don't have to put French fries down your throat. You might be in a wheelchair, but you can still exercise with this arm. You might be in a wheelchair, but you don't have to focus solely on everything. I focused on was physical my whole life. The 10 years before that, it was about lifting weights and being able to run fast and being able to do this and be strong, right, physically. Well, I was missing out on the emotional and mental and spiritual piece of my life. So I missed the opportunities to grow emotionally in every way when I had an opportunity. I'm going to look at every problem I have as an opportunity. That's it. And I've failed at that at times, but looking back, like, you can look back and now and you're like, oh, I could have done this, and now I'm going to make sure that when this happens, that self-reflection piece, man, that self-reflection piece for me is almost obsessive. Like I'm obsessive about reflecting on the work I do, on how I treat people. I went from this period of my life to focusing solely From 2015 to 2000, probably 21, late 21, it was all about the mission, all about the work that I do, all about helping other people. And what I recognized is that I was teaching the people in our program, the students in our program, and the people I worked with, that I was teaching them how to have a great work ethic and kind of be obsessive about work and hours. But what I was missing is the most important piece of my life for who I am is not, I wasn't teaching these people how to be a great husband, like I wanted to be a great speaker. I wasn't teaching them how to be a great father because I was at speaking events when I should have been at my kids' soccer games or wrestling matches or games. You know what I'm saying? I missed that piece. And when I get out of balance like that, it takes me like some pain to be like, hey, like you better get your shit together, man. Like you have to recognize it's not about just the hours that you're working. It's about where those hours are intentionally. Like when I'm home, I used to be this in my face
Yeah.
like the entire time. Now, when I'm home, I make sure that if I'm on the floor playing, that phone is not in my face. And that took effort for me, dude, because I wanted success in a certain way so bad. You struggle with that at all? Like,
I used to a lot.
Mhm.
Now I come to find that I really just have it on the side of me just to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Mhm.
There's times where like if I'm bored or something, I'll be on it, or if I'm in bed and it's late, I'll just
Sure.
but I try to take it off. I try to just not really deal with it. That's why I love going away every
I was just
January.
gonna. That's why I brought it up because the pictures I'm seeing of you, every time I see you that you're on a plane or you call me and say, "Hey, I'm headed here. I won't be back." I'm like, dude, do you feel like you've grown as a person because you're getting away?
Yes.
Now,
That's why I want to go away
everything,
all the time.
but for real, I used to think that it was the hours I spent, it was the hours I put into something that made it work. That's not the case. It was the team that I built. The team that I build, the culture that I create, and the vision that I set out there to my team is way more important than me standing there driving. And that was hard for me, especially when you're working with people and development of people. I'm like, I'm responsible for their development. I'm responsible for the bullshit. There are tons of capable people out there. I can't stand when I hear people out there, and I agree to a point, but there's a lot of great people out there. It's the energy that I have to get those great people to want to work with me.
Yeah.
It's really easy to sit back and say there's no workers, there's no good people, there's no the best. Well, the truth is that there is. You have to figure out how you can modify what you're doing to work with that person that may need a different motivational piece, that may need to be inspired a different way, but also have an energy that says, I want to be around that dude. And you have that. Like,
Yeah.
you have that. But I see that you're taking these much deserved breaks. And I noticed that's what I've done in the last year. And at the end of the day, like, man, isn't that like so many people are defined by I worked 18 hours a day today. I worked.
fucking hate that.
Oh my God, dude. Like I get up.
Remember
like,
hustle?
yeah.
Hustle was like the number one word on the planet
Yeah.
like 4 years
Hustle
ago.
and grind, right?
Hustle and grind. I
Yeah.
posted it. I mean, that was part of it.
Yeah. Like rise and grind. Well, what about the people that are really good at working from 10 to 4 and then they work on themselves? Like everybody doesn't have the same recipe, and I recognize that. Now I on my show in the morning I talk about
647 with Kevin.
647 with Kevin. I should have a cup here. 647 with Kevin on Facebook, on my Facebook. Kevin David Cobb. But it talks about like if you want to have a morning routine to set up your day to change, and there's people that must start to get up early. There's a lot of people that I work with that are in recovery that are like, they don't get up at all.
Right.
So getting up early and learning that. You've learned that. Now it's time to learn that it's not all you, man.
I'm finally getting there.
Yeah.
It took me a while to
a
get
rich
there.
dude told me this 5 years ago, my buddy Tony. He's like, dude, you're missing it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're killing yourself. And you don't get that you could work half the hours you are and be better. I'm like, bullshit. And he's like, I'm telling you. And this year I'm like, okay, man, if I would have just tried this. But our ego,
Our
right?
egos are terrible.
Is it terrible? Because
It's terrible. It's terrible for us. Like my ego kills me. Doesn't kill my wife, doesn't kill my family, doesn't kill one of my friends. because I don't talk shit like that in front of them.
Right.
I mean, well, maybe my wife, but that's because she's my wife. Right. So we have those conversations. But it kills me.
Yeah.
My ego gets me in trouble with myself, not with anybody else. It's working the 18-hour days. It's not, it's going to work on Saturdays sometimes. It's not getting sleep because all you do is think about, like you said, when you reflect and think about everything else, that's what happens at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
My body wakes up and I'm like, first thing I think of is what's got to get done today. How am I treating this client?
Yeah.
And so, and because my ego is like, you got to be the best. You got to be the only fucking guy in town. Everybody else is second place. Nobody comes close to you. And that's just like my brain's just rah. But that's my ego.
Yeah.
As a man, a good old school man, machismo, fuck all y'all who don't believe in that shit. Like that's what my mind is. That's where the way I react. And like even when I talk to my wife things about problems or whatever, she's like, well, why do you do that? I'm like, because I'm a fucking man.
Well, let me ask you something. When back in the day, before they had Redner's, right? Before they had McDonald's, and these dudes were in a log cabin home in a hut, and they had a gun, and a bear was outside, and that was their food. You think that dude had an ego to be like, hell yeah, there's a bear out there. Let me go get this gun, and this gun that I got to load up, and it has one shot. You think they had an ego? Damn right they did. Men were created to have an ego.
Yes.
Now, how I use it and my intent with it is the key for me. Is I have to have ego to walk the way I do, the confident look, the face anything, and that's exactly the way you are. So there's pieces of it, but when I'm not ahead of my ego, when there's not things that are ahead of my ego, and it just blares its mouth and gets really cocky, ooh, I am ugly.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's ugly. We all know that ugly person that the ego is just way out in
and
front.
It's still in there.
Yeah.
I still have it.
But it's keeping it harnessed, right? We got to feed that animal too, but it's making sure that I stay ahead of that and it doesn't get out in front of me.
But I love it.
Mhm.
I love it in a sense that it gave me the balls to do some crazy shit.
That's
And not like jumping off a mountain, like doubling my bills,
Right.
like leaving my home and moving all the way to Florida, like walking into a networking group in a county where not a fucking soul knew who this guy was.
Yeah.
That ego, that like confidence, the balls you have to just even go do that. I know how scary it is.
Right.
I've been there. That's why when I talk to people, they're like, well, I got to go to a networking group. I'm like, yeah, get some balls. I mean, if it's a dude, I just tell them right away. I'm like, get some, and you know what? That's a lie because I've told women that. I'm like,
grow some balls. Grow some.
You got to get off that like, like, well, what if they don't like me or whatever the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, get in there, man. And they won't all like you.
Yeah.
And whoever doesn't like you, move along.
Well, there's a deeper problem if you're worried about what everybody else thinks. That's a whole different show.
And I still have that
Do you?
in a little bit,
Yeah.
I have to give you credit. You were the first person that brought it out,
Mhm.
by doing your talks and making me talk in front of your dudes.
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing because putting me in front of them, I'm like, how can you not be vulnerable, bro? These guys are the fact that they even here.
Well, here's the truth.
You
Everybody out there, even McCucky, we all got our issues. He looks perfect. I mean, look at how
and his hair is groomed.
Gosh, he looks good. But that's the crazy part is that transparency and that vulnerability breeds success. That's the beginning of success because if you're not vulnerable and you're not transparent, well, you're putting on a look of perfection. And to me, there's nothing more disgusting and like the opposite of success than perfect. Perfection is another tactic. Like if I can't be perfect, I won't do it. Well, there's a lot of perfect lazy people out there. Like I got to do it perfectly or I won't do it all. Like, well, bullshit. You're just scared to take another step.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the way you've done things and the way every year you've grown and gotten better. And I was here when you were like, when you and I had a meeting when COVID hit, By the way, we didn't have masks on. I won't go down that road, but you and I didn't.
Pictures. I love it.
You didn't. You and I didn't have masks.
I didn't tell you about the real taco party I had here.
No.
There was a day where it was me, and I will not name their names, but I took a photo of it, and it was I ordered tacos, and I picked up a tray, and I brought it here, and then we all came in through the back door of the place. Because remember how crazy COVID was, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So everybody came through the back door, and we put up my old signs I had in front, those removable signs. covered the front window and this window here, and closed the door. And we all sat here separately. We'll sit separately,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah.
No masks, pulling tacos off trays.
Yes.
And just eating tacos,
Yeah.
me and like a few other dudes.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like, wow, is this like back in the 1700s when everybody was trying to figure out how to overthrow Britain? Like, where's John Adams? Where's Thomas Jefferson and shit, you know? I'm like, this is the beginning of the revolution.
Yeah.
And our revolt was eating
Yeah.
tacos in a room, you know, with the window
Spanish
closed.
Armada.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. But that was great.
Dude, and we got together, and I remember during that time, you were like concerned. Like,
Yeah.
dude, this is COVID. Like, people are calling, like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I remember you got a call that morning. You're like, I just had an account say that we're freezing everything with what's going on. Like, and you were like, okay, this is gonna be scary, but fuck it. Like, I'm gonna go for it. And that's that healthy ego that you have.
And let
that-
me
that
tell you
grit.
something, people out there who are worried about the recession,
Mhm.
in air quotes. I'm doing air quotes right
I
now.
like it.
Okay.
I like it.
COVID, the world stopped. The world fucking stopped.
Mhm.
And I did tell you my concern, but I said, fuck it, I'm going for it anyway. And
Yep.
you know what happened that year? Best fucking year I ever had.
There you go.
So it's all like,
So it is a perception or is it skill?
right.
It isn't skill because there's a ton of skilled people out there. There were people that had restaurants that you could feel sorry for them, but there were restaurants and there were business owners and entrepreneurs that doubled their revenue and doubled their sales because the people that don't have the grit and don't have that dog in them, we got that dog.
I like
right?
that.
Yeah,
I got that
yeah.
dog.
You got that dog, and I have that dog. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight for everything,
Yeah.
and I got that dog by being out there on the street, by being down and out, by having nothing and fighting for things. You know, I'm a kid that lived in Wyomissing, and I didn't have that dog. I mean, I had a little grit and I had an edge to me always. You know, I was always a scrappy kid, but like the dog, I got through the tough times,
dude.
to the difficulties, and not knowing how I'm going to deal with it. And I hope everybody like picks that up with us, that we got the dog, and the dog is what gets you through COVID. And the dog is what will help you chew through anything that isn't supposed to be there. And that's what these people did. And then I watched people just give up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do. The system, the government, like, whoa. Like, you're at home right now. Like, you're here talking about the system, and you're talking about the government, and you're talking about not getting this funding and that funding when you could be spending time on your craft. When you could be perfecting a craft or pivoting and coming up with a new idea. Those are the people that really shine. Like, they pivot when problems come. It's like, okay, we're heading in a direction and we can't do that anymore. Well, we better go a little bit this way. Oh, this. But that takes not blaming. That takes not pointing the finger. I can't stand it. Those are like loser behaviors.
Yeah, definitely loser behavior.
Victims of anything. I'm a victim of nothing. Even when I refuse.
Victim of nothing.
I'm a victim of nothing. That's what
That's
I
a
tell
fucking
guys all the
shirt.
time. I'm a victim of nothing.
nothing.
Even if it was true. You know, there's some things in my childhood
You're a
that
victim of
sucked.
being a sexy motherfucker. though.
yeah, I don't know about that. I'm getting old, bro.
It's the fucking
Is it the tattoos on the head?
the
Yeah, but
tattoos.
you have
man.
the,
You will always have hair.
I know,
It's just
but it's not like
tattoos.
yours. You have the line perfectly, bro. Like
Well, that's Ryan, modern traditional, bro. Let me tell you, I go every 2 weeks.
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, somebody was like, "Damn, bro, you're high maintenance." I'm like, no way, bro.
That's true.
Branding, and the reputation, and the way I pull myself. I mean, not for nothing. I'm a good looking fat dude. It's hard
You-
to pull that off.
Extremely. And I don't know why why there has to be a label for it.
I'm labeling myself.
But okay.
That's what it
Okay.
is. I
All
still got an ego, motherfucker. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right. I was
I'm a
gonna
big
say
dog.
you can still get down.
I was like
big
fucking
dog.
was it National Lampoon's? You got some of that Mississippi mudhound.
Butt
in it?
out.
Got some of that Mississippi mudhound in it. Dude, but everything you speak is truth, bro.
Mhm.
It's all truth. I mean, and it's maybe I'm gonna release the ego a little bit. When you really think about it, I was a marketing company in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, you could add me to the list of, that's something I definitely don't need to fucking worry about in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the first things that got cut off from people,
Yeah.
which I totally understood. But how do you take a marketing company in one of the darkest years of our generation and still have the best year ever? I even question myself still. But if it's possible for me, it's possible for anyone. And yeah, a lot of restaurants closed down, but I know a guy out the block
Mhm.
who got his brick and mortar in November of 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he still figured it out, and he still killed it.
Mindset.
Yeah, dude. Mindset is so
Yep.
powerful. And
Yep.
I know even that's becoming an overused kind of term,
Yeah.
but I don't know how else you would call it.
Renew your mind. Like every day you got to renew your mind. Everything's. I don't care if you're a religious person. I don't care if you're a universe person. I don't care who you are and what your beliefs are. Everything happens in your mind first. Nothing else. If you don't have a strong mind and you're not able to bring your mind back to where it needs to be to go, and you're talking to a dude that was diagnosed at 5 years old with ADHD. They wanted to medicate the hell out of me because I couldn't sit still. I couldn't do anything more than 5 minutes, right? And I used that excuse for a long time, by the way, with teachers and everybody else. But when I had to figure it out, I worked most on my mind and saying, you know what, like this is not going to beat me. I am not going to be a victim of anything. And what I tell myself over time becomes what's called a subconscious. And your subconscious runs your whole life.
Yeah, buddy.
You're not telling yourself right now to breathe. You're not telling yourself when to blink and when not to blink. You're not telling yourself all these things to make your body move. You got to drive it home to create a subconscious. But people's reactions and behaviors negatively, like arguing. I mean, that person that as soon as you talk to them, they're going to be negative. I have family like that. As soon as you pick up the phone, you're like, yo, like
I've done that so
I'm gonna
many
put my
times.
fucking positive armor on and be like, hello. And it's like, do you know what happened? And I'm like, you know who died? And I'm like, good morning to you too. Like, it's this constant, their subconscious is to either argue or to be negative or to be hurtful. And once you drive that stuff home for so long, for so many days, it's in there. You can get it out, but you
Yeah.
have to have some pain to be able to get it out. And that dealing with the subconscious and the mind is the greatest gift that I give to people in our program. Is like, you may have your issues, but your mind is your deal. Like that computer, you program it. And where you can get gratitude in that, go over to a mental hospital, right? Go into a mental hospital for the poor people that are chemically that no longer control their mind. I've gotten the opportunity. I've given myself the opportunity. I was in a mental hospital twice due to the amount of drugs, the mixture of drugs. When you mix so many drugs and chemicals for so long, I lost my mind. And I remember what's crazy is I remember losing my mind. Like I was clear enough at times to like look at my family and I'm like, yo, like you won't believe what I was just thinking about. And you won't believe what I'm doing to myself right now in my head. And I'm not in control of what's in there anymore. So you want to be thankful? Go to a mental hospital and see those people that are never coming out of that. Never, ever coming out of it, right? So we get to those that don't have that level of mental illness, we get to control that hard drive, what we put in it and what we put out of it. But again, it takes work. It takes consistent discipline every day. Consistent discipline is the biggest problem in our country today. It's not about consistent discipline. It's what can I get now for free? What can I get for a little effort now? That's not consistent discipline. And that's the stuff I'm teaching my kid, dude. Like I try to teach my kids.
Little wrestler?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Dude, people at wrestling matches they're like, we're going to call the child services. This dude just destroyed his kid and his kid won. Right. And I am purposely pushing him beyond his beliefs. And it's amazing what's happening. It's amazing how that kid is in his mind. He's been wrestling 2 months. 2 months.
That's awesome.
And we go to our first tournament and he gets destroyed and says, I don't like this. And I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're going to learn to like this. Yeah, but I don't like to lose. Me either. But I have to learn how. And people don't want to learn how to lose. Like, I look back, the only L's that I'm not proud of are the ones where it hurt my kids. I have a lot of losses, like tons. Most I call them giveaways because I chose the shit and I gave it away.
Yeah.
But my losses affected my children. I regret those. Everybody's like, no regrets. I have some regrets that if I wouldn't regret hurting my children and walking out on them and quitting on life on them, I'd be pretty much of a scumbag. So I have those regrets. But man, your losses, like they're huge. If you have the mind to say, okay, there's a loss. Look at those sports like wrestling and boxing. What do those dudes do as soon as they lose? What do? Fighters, what do? They get up, they shake hands, most of them, 90% of them, and say, yo, I got to go back to the drawing board. I got to go train. I got to go do this. They don't say, well, the referees sucked. Well, I didn't get the calls that I wanted. They don't. They can't.
Right.
And that creates a different person. Like wrestling creates a different person. Boxing creates a different person. And I just think it's cool that we get the ability every day to wake up with a better one than we had yesterday. That's why I do the morning show. I'm hoping somebody catches on to the fact that, well, I listened to this yesterday and I got some shit out of that I learned yesterday. And I feel like if I focus on that today, I'll be better than I was yesterday. That's my goal. You have a personal mission statement? You one of them guys?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a lot of that. I told you I hate agendas.
I know. And I think it's awesome that you do it differently, bro. Like no
It works for
mission or
me.
vision for the company either. No mission statement or vision statement or core beliefs.
No, because I feel in my heart of hearts, I feel like it's always evolving.
Oh, you're right there.
It's always evolving. Like what I believed in for the company, 2 years ago, it doesn't work today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know at the end of the day, you know, I can go back into the branding and all those things, customer service, yada. I mean, it's like, you know, we know that. I get it, you know. But it's always changing because it depends on, you know, who your clients are and what the goals are. You know, so maybe technically I could be like, always give my best clients, help them achieve their goals. It's something corny like that, but I'm just not a cornball. You know, I tend to do things differently because that's what works for me. I didn't go to college for this. Like I was telling you, I didn't learn any of this from like a book. It was all Google and life experience.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I wish I would have did something. But even then, everything I'm doing today wasn't even offered when I was going to college, technically. When I was in college, Facebook didn't exist. You know, Pro Tools was new. You know what I mean? Like I was still doing 2-inch tape. I mean, because I went to school to make albums, you know, and a little business. It was business manager because I had to pick it. So everything I'm learning now wasn't even in existence when I went to college. So technically I couldn't have. But I like doing things like that. I like learning. I like changing the way the company goes. Keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting, keeps it challenging. By no means do I think you should do that. But this is what I do for me, and it works.
That's what's great about being an entrepreneur. Like you can write your own book if it's working. Like I agree with you. I make a new business plan and I call it a blueprint. I make a new blueprint for my life twice a year. Once at the beginning of the year, right before the new year, and once halfway through. And you're exactly right. It always adjusts. But for me, I'm so visual that I have to see it. Like you know me, dude. Like the first year we met, you're like, yo, man, you need to like get focused. You're going in like 7 directions. You were a good enough friend to sit me down and be like, hey, I'm seeing something you need to do. That's been my issue my whole life. If I can stay on the blueprint, you know, because I'll keep chasing that.
But that's hard.
Yeah.
Because Jill tried that. She tried to help me. She's like, look, you should follow this schedule. That shit lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
And I still got the planner somewhere.
I'm not saying a schedule, but a blueprint of how I'm going to reach my goal.
But it's still hard.
And I'll adjust it, but I gotta points like right now, I've been chomping at the bit for the last 3 months to step on the gas. And I know my answer isn't stepping on the gas right now. I know my answer is to let it in cruise a little over the speed limit. I like go to like 67 to make sure that I don't get busted. Yeah. And that's me. And because if I step on the gas at the wrong time, I'll go right over the cliff. And I'll be like, yeah. And I'm egotistical enough to be like, okay, the car smashed, but I lived. Let me get back up there and I'll do it right again. There's nothing, that self-belief thing, I have it to a fault. I believe that I can go do anything. I believe that I can start a business and succeed. You know, everybody, when I did Sick Recovery, everybody's like, what are you thinking? This is motorcycles. You're not going to have a business helping people. Okay. Keep telling me that. You know what I mean? So I have this like self-belief.
I love that.
Can get like,
yeah, but here's my thing with all that. Take that, throw that shit out the fucking window, bro. Because if you don't live your life without taking risks, have you even fucking lived, dude?
No. No.
I remember telling a friend of mine that 20 plus years ago. We were on the phone and she kept telling me, yeah, this guy wants to go out, but like, I'm afraid. And I'm like, what are you afraid of? Like, is he a dick or something? And she's like, no, I'm afraid of like breaking up. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've been talking to her for a while. I was like, listen, I was like, so what?
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I was like, have you even lived if you never had your heart broken?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, go out with the guy. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, there's another one somewhere.
Well, how would you recognize heartthrob if you never experienced heartache?
Right. You know, it's crazy, but it was so crazy how she was so afraid that she didn't even want to go out with the dude because she was already thinking of like the bad shit that happens in relationship, and that's only sometimes.
Well, there's a lot of people out there. So, like, Travis Pastrana. Come on.
Who's that?
He's a Red Bull guy. He's a moto guy. He jumped over.
Well, you're the moto guy.
Yeah. But
talk to me about
amazing.
like Verlander.
He said, he does stuff like he jumps out of a plane without a parachute.
Oh, so he's nuts.
And a dude like comes to him and straps to him. You've seen it, right? And he just do it. Travis Pastrana jumps out of a plane with takes a Red Bull.
I've seen the video. I just don't know the guy's
Travis.
name. Okay.
That's Travis. So like he always says, everybody asks me like, aren't you afraid of dying? And his answer is, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living to my fullest. And that's me for like my mission in life is to make sure that I at my highest expression of life, I do it honestly. Like I express myself honestly to every human, like to influence them, to be a part of their life, and to show how much I care in an honest expression. And some people get that twisted. Like some people get it twisted, and where what I'm saying to help is like telling them what to do or bashing them. No, I don't view it that way. I view it the way I look at myself. I criticize myself like you wouldn't believe in in every possible way, but in an effort to move forward. In an effort to move forward. And I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living my life. People out there just get so fear-stricken, that they don't move. They don't step into the box and take a swing.
Take a swing.
That's where
Well, that's part of the reason why I feel like a lot of my family is still where they are. I feel like I'm only where I am because I left. And I took myself out of the situation of the everyday and the negativity. There's a lot of positivity in my family. I'm not saying it's not, but there's negativity too. But that negativity was the kind that can really just bring you down and keep you in that same rut, keep you in the same every day.
Yeah.
And I definitely, when I left, that was the turning point of everything.
you face the fear.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near where I am now. Still being out in Long Island, no way. I mean, just no way.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because now when I go back or now when I hang out with certain people from there, I'm just like, they're just not on the same level. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. They're just in their spot and I'm in my spot.
Well,
it's just different.
It's our surroundings define a lot for us.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the first things you really need to consider when going through a change for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have a strong mindset. Yeah, you want to do all these great things. Well, where are you?
Right.
Like maybe for a second, just think about it. Like, you should always look at yourself, but then it's okay to be like, well, where am I? Look outside, and I think me leaving where I came from and going to a whole different place, you're forced to like, just figure it out.
Well, what did you recognize leaving there? You left people. Coming here, you found all new people. So it's finding, it's that old saying about, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with most.
Yeah.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. We just talked about that the other morning. And it's like that community, that's the program that I do. That's what you go into a business and say, okay, like you have a business and you have 2 employees that are complete schmucks and you have 10 others that are great. Who do you think's winning the 2 schmucks? Like, you got to get rid of the 2 schmucks.
Yeah.
But they produce this and this and money. I'm like, okay, but they might be producing X amount of money for you, but they're sucking the life. They're cancerous to the 10 others, and they're working at 70% because these other 2 are just cancer. And eventually, the cancer wins if you don't get rid of it. Eventually, it spreads throughout, and just kills it. And that's what's so hard for people in today's time. Like, well, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't, and I got to keep that person. And I'm just like, it's not true. Like, you get rid of that and watch what happens where somebody else steps up and takes over what they're doing, or you get a person that's healthy that says, okay, I'm in this to be part of the culture,
Right.
to be part of the team. And that team building phase has just been such an amazing part of my life. But that's what you're talking. You built a new team. You built a whole new team that moved you in a different direction. Not because those people didn't love and care about you. It's just because what they knew.
Right.
They didn't know any better, right? They just did what they
Well, that's
know
what
how
it
to
comes
do.
down to, yeah. They're
Yeah.
stuck in their own world, and they think that that's what it's supposed to be. You know, and when you take that risk and leave home, which is so fucking hard. I don't care
Mhm.
what anybody says. It's fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at what you can accomplish. And again, I go back to the whole human condition thing. It's like when people are afraid of taking a risk, I tell them, I'm like, dude, it's just like jumping in a pool. Seriously. You jump in a pool, it's cold as shit. But give yourself 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and you're fucking chill.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Jump into that pit of I doubled my bills. Jump into the pit of I have overhead. I have 10 employees. I have to make all this money. Watch how quick your fucking mind changes and you go, yo, I need to do X, Y, and Z to make this shit happen. Your fucking ass will do it.
Yeah.
And I've been there. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I am not special, bro. I'm just like everybody else. Listen to this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah. You got comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do more of that. And I'm doing it now. I got Will now. And Will has inspired me to find somebody else.
Yeah. I love
I want another one.
I love you're connecting with what you took down the wall.
Yeah. I had to bring him in there.
You're a teammate. Like that's the shit people need to follow you on. Like, oh, what did Freddie do that made the most sense? It's not just hiring the guy. You're getting to know Will.
Yeah, I knocked down the fucking wall.
Yeah, you knocked down the wall between the two of you. Now you're like a team. And it's not that you're focused on building up Will as this person. You're getting to know the who behind Will. And that's what's going to make you guys a great team. The who is always way more important than the what. And that's the piece that people need to get. It's the who. You're figuring out who he is. I tell leaders all the time, like CEOs of we have 40 people. You know, how do I get to know them all? I'm like, you spend time with them. Well, 40 people? I'm like, yeah, dude. Skip a meeting with your accountant to talk about your money and spend an hour at lunch getting to know who that person is and getting to know who your housekeeping guy is or your laborer is and find out what he wants in life. Find out where he wants to be. And it's your job to influence him and influence his decisions to get him to that goal. That's a leader.
That's a great point.
And that's the who part. Like,
and that's one of the things that changed my life growing up. I worked at a record distribution company. And the CEO, we went to one of those, yearly retreats where everybody fucking goes, whatever. Yeah. And all the peons sit at one table, all the sales guys at one table, and then you have like the big guys in their executive table. And I'm one of the peons at the time because I was brand new. It was me and like a few other people. The guy that owned the company, and I'll say Michael Koch, Koch Distribution, guy sat with us. He came all the way down, got his plate of food, and he's like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm like, hi, Mr. Koch. He was like, Michael. I'm like, hi, Michael. And he was just talking to us the whole time. And I thought that was the coolest shit that ever happened. I was 21, 22, 23. And I was like, that's the coolest shit. So I feel like when you mentioned that and said how, take the break from your accountant and go talk to people, I'm like, oh yeah, fucking Michael Koch did that. And I'm wondering, I'm like, you know what? I wonder if that event changed what I would ultimately become. Because at that point in time, I never thought about marketing or any of that stuff. But it's funny how things like that work. Your subconscious comes into play again, and that was a big moment for me. And I feel like, what could be easily misconstrued as like me taking him out of the back to keep an eye on him, which is totally not the case.
No.
I don't need to keep an eye on Will. I need to fucking build a relationship, and we need to like talk about taking over the world together.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
But you need to know how he is in his relationships and what makes him tick as a person and what his struggles are. Like, get vulnerable with him. He's got to see you make mistakes.
Oh, he's seen it.
Like
he's been here long enough.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that's like, you know what? This dude's got his own gig. He's successful. He's going on vacation with his wife numerous times, and he just screwed up big. I'm all right. I'm doing okay. Like, That's what life's about, is like sharing the losses and the
Yeah.
wins. You know what it's like being around a dude that never shares the losses and the wins.
Yeah.
There's no relatability.
Mm-hmm.
I can't relate to somebody like that. Everybody's like, oh, if you could hang out with Warren Buffett, like I don't want to hang out with Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
What do I want to hang out with Warren Buffett for? I got nothing to relate. I have no relatability. You know, there's some dudes that have money that are inspiring, but most of the dudes that I want to hang out with have been way down, have been in the gutter like I have, and made horrible choices and made different choices to come back and showed everybody and shared with everybody how to do it. That's it. What's your definition of a leader, bro?
Kevin Kolb.
Shut up.
A leader is somebody that gets into the shit with you, dude.
Yeah.
You know, you got to show that you are not too good to do anything.
Mhm.
You know, for me, a leader is the guy that's gonna, you know, he's at the front. You know, he's at the front line in war, and when he says, "All right, men, come with me," but you're the first motherfucker over that hill.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not the first motherfucker over that hill, there's no reason for people to follow you. I'm the first one to go over that hill. I'm the first one to say, and this happened recently with Will. I'm like, Will, this is what happened. We lost this client, and this is where I fucked up. And I told him that. I'm like, now how are we going to take this and make it better? And we came up with a plan, and that plan is now being implemented. Actually, it is implemented, and Will actually takes responsibility of that part of the plan and does it every 2 weeks, what we do. So I feel like, you know, being the first one in the shit, the first one to admit their failure, first one to give you a compliment, you know, and always do things that you would do it yourself before you let somebody else do it. And I used to do that shit in fucking CVS when I worked at CVS. And somebody did some dumb shit in the bathroom. I remember one day going in there and doing it myself and cleaning it myself.
Mhm.
And one of the guys was like, "Why you clean the bathroom?" I'm like, "How am I supposed to ask these people to do anything if they won't see that I won't fucking clean a bathroom?" I'm like, "Come on, bro." But the second I clean that bathroom and tell them please and thank you, different story after that point.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. You got your hands in the dirt.
You gotta.
Yeah.
If
You're
you
not
can't
above
do that, then fuck yeah. I am above no one.
No. Not even close.
I am above no one, bro.
Yeah.
No.
That's never been my issue is thinking I've pushed myself to think I'm below people, you know, but that's it, man. Like leadership is just such a men's leadership, and I don't want to hear it from everybody. I'm talking about people being a man, like you talked about. Like I know, so my definition of leadership is influence. Anybody that has influence is a leader. Here's the deal, though. We can influence in a very negative way. I influence people in a horribly different way. When I came into a room, I influenced people years ago, but it was never in a positive way. Now my goal is to influence in a positive way. Leaders are just straight influencers. You can lead people into hell, right? You can lead people into greatness. You can lead people all over the world. But it's like it's the leaders, the leaders like you that you're talking about, where they'll step up and go in the ditch with you.
Right.
That's the leader I want, man. And that takes vulnerability. I just see these people at the top trying to be at the top and not share. Don't let anybody know I screwed up. Don't let anybody know I did this or that. Come on, man. What are you doing there? You're building followers. I don't want any followers. I want to help build more leaders. I want to help build more people that influence and impact lives. Like I don't want to be put on some pedestal, you know, because that pedestal has one leg, and that some bitch can get kicked out really easy. And you go from being at the top of the heap to the ground real fast.
Real quick.
Kevin. Yeah. So yeah, I love the leadership topic, but I love the leader that you are, man. Like you've been a great leader to me. You've had influence in my life. You have an influence in our mission, in what we're doing. And I just appreciate this secretive. You guys know that he did this and didn't tell me I was going to be on TV. I would have shaved. I have a little bit of stubble here that I'll get yelled at for probably by my wife. And you're lucky I had like a nice shirt on. I don't have all this nasty ink and this look out there. You know what I mean? I could have had a work T-shirt on and just not represented you properly. You have a standard here, bro.
That's right. I do have a standard, but you're cool, man. Everything's good here. This is Fred Talk. Everything is great. This is probably like one of my favorite episodes. I love it because I love meeting new people and talking about them, but it's always nice to get them back on because then, okay, that episode came and went.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what the fuck are we talking about? So I'm actually looking forward to bringing more people on now that I've already interviewed
Mhm.
to have the conversation now.
Yeah.
And start those episodes. Because this was a great fucking episode.
Well, I think that if I remember before, everything was about the mission and the company. And I know that focus for me doesn't work. What my focus has to be, and what I think most people's focus has to be to grow their business, is to grow themselves. You can't like just worry about the P's and Q's if you're not worried about what's inside. And me growing myself has created a whole new world in every way, not just in my office, but in my home. My relationship with my wife is something I'm proud to teach the people that I teach. I don't want to just teach. I love the whole thing. You look online, how many places does it say, let me teach you how to be a millionaire? Go to this seminar. Like, I'm going to teach you how to be a millionaire, how to be a millionaire, how to be a millionaire. How about we teach how to be a great husband? Because the level of divorce and kids without one parent in today's time is staggering.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. And that's from people giving up because they don't want to do the work on themselves. And that's for me is the piece. You want to be a great CEO? Take all the shit. Get in the shit. You want to be a better CEO? You change. It ain't who you're going to hire. What are you going to do to face yourself? And that's what we're doing, man. And it's amazing to feel that from 3 years ago to now, that my biggest problem was in the mirror, and I got to face him every day.
And with that, Mr. Kolb, I want to say thank you for coming in, brother.
Thank you for having me, bro.
This was a great fucking conversation.
I love it.
And if you listen to this to the end, thank you. Press rewind. Let's do it again. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of Fred Talk. If you totally got into what you just saw, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Check out the playlist because there's other cool people too. And if you can't watch all the time, check it out on any podcast outlet. Don't forget, your Uncle Freddie loves you. Peace.